I left my boots and my faded jeans in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and swapped them for a coat and tie and someplace else to go. I had days that were laced with white lines on narrow blacktop roads, with honky-tonks around each day and drunken episodes.
Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, saints and sinners, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Saturday Night Church of the Search, where we talk about nothing but Forrest Fenn and his hidden treasure.
I learned to play the game. Then one night I was peeling labels on empty bottles of beer.
It's church, K-Pro. You're supposed to be good.
And her guitar played his, I swore were yours. Cause she played memories.
So the background music is She Played Memories, a song that I wrote way back when I was a teenager, believe it or not. Had a crush on a woman. There we go. So we're going to play some rock and roll tonight, kind of the calm version of rock and roll. We're going to take questions. We'll open up the phones after we get launched here, and we'll just have a good time. I'm going to stay on until I don't get any more calls. How's that?
She stripped me bare and read my heart like it was an open book.
And let's get the business end taken care of right away.
Housekeeping, you want towels?
Of course you want towels. You need towels. Trust me, you need towels. Make sure that before you leave tonight, you like this video. YouTube likes it when you like our videos. The Magical Treasure Princess likes it when you like our videos. Share it with your family, your friends, your neighbors, your business associates, the entirety of your social networks, so that we can grow the channel. She's got such a much better voice than me. And then finally, if you're not already a subscriber, this would be the ideal time to subscribe. And I'm looking over there at that bell that I'll never be able to reach, by clicking on the subscribe button. And then when you see the notifications bell, click on the notifications bell. And that way, when we launch a live stream, you will be immediately informed and in the Army Security Agency. There's nothing better than being in the Army Security Agency. So pour yourself an adult beverage, and let's play some music, and let's enjoy the night here. Phone lines are open as of this moment. But if you want to send a text message, or if you can't get through on the phone lines because the line is busy, send me a text message and just remind me to call you. And as soon as I see the text message, I'll call you when when we don't have a phone on. I will try to read the chat room, but there's just one of me tonight. Try to highlight your chat message with the @ sign, Gypsy's Kiss, and it has to be A space Gypsies with the apostrophe in front of the S, space Kiss. And it'll pop up for you. K-Pro, that drink is Sambuca Romana with a dash of Kahlua on top, because I like the coffee flavor. Just very nice. So. And it's on crushed ice, and the effect of crushed ice on Sambuca is it turns it a milky white. Sambuca pours clear, but when you pour it on crushed ice, it turns a milky shade. So, good drink. I like it. It's one of my favorites. One of my favorite after-dinner aperitifs. Wow, Rio Grande Joe on the line. Rio Grande, I am going to keep you to 10 minutes, hell or high water, brother. Hey, Rio Grande, did you hear what I said?
Not on what?
Just now, because I saw you call. I'm going to keep you to 10 minutes.
Well, that's fine.
Oh, okay, all right. Let's see, you can do it. Thank you, Sassy, for doing that. That's like Sassy did it there. K-Pro, on the other hand, still hasn't learned how to do it. I don't know why K-Pro can't do that.
Oh.
Anyway, Hey.
Anyway, yeah, I was just calling in since I hadn't called in a few days.
What if we only had a show yesterday and you called in yesterday?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
Uh-uh.
Oh, there was somebody doing an imitation of you then.
Oh, it wasn't me.
His name was Joe.
That's Texas. Remember Texas
Oh,
Joe?
that's right, Texas Joe. He doesn't call himself Texas Joe, but he has
From
a Latino accent too. You can tell.
Yeah, he is.
Of course, it is.
Habla español.
Yeah, muy bien, gracias.
Yeah. I can talk either way. So.
Yeah, me too. When I have to,
you
usually at a restaurant.
And I think that's what's going to find the treasure.
You think being able to speak Spanish?
A bilingual, yeah.
Yeah.
See. Anyway, I was calling about everybody's warm waters theories.
Yeah. Well, wait. So you can't talk about everybody else's warm waters theories.
No, I'm going to give you mine.
Oh, okay. All right. Go ahead. I'm waiting.
Well.
Oh, criminal. That's right. That's the criminal. That's Waco Joe. Criminal Waco Joe. That's the one we talked to last time.
Yeah, Rio Grande's.
Yeah. And he is, he's Hispano, he says.
Yeah, I could tell.
You could tell, no?
Yeah.
Because he said no like that.
He said no.
No. You can tell.
Anyways.
No. Yeah.
Everybody's being misled on the warm waters.
Oh, why do you think they're being misled? By whom?
Wait.
By whom are they being misled?
Well, they read them wrong on the poem.
It's a short sentence.
Yeah, but they're not reading it right.
Where warm waters halt.
That's right.
So how
waters.
No.
It says waters.
No, it says waters. That's right.
Not water. Everybody's finding one warm water and they're going to it.
Oh, so you think there's a plural? Not only are the waters plural, but there is more than one warm water.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
There's one you can dip your toes in, and the other one you can't because it's different. I can't tell you the difference, but that's why it says begin at where warm waters halt. It's not just one water. So you got the one right for the New Mexico.
Right.
I'll tell you that.
Well, thank you. That's
but I can't tell. But I can't tell you the other one unless I see you personal one of these days.
So when you take me to go get the treasure, is that what you're talking about?
That's right. Yeah. And the way the poem, it's like a map. Everything in the poem is within a 10-mile radius.
Oh man, that is way too big. But that's your opinion, right?
Well, when you start at warm waters, you got to drive for 8 miles or so. It's all one big area.
So the canyon down is actually a drive. The not far but too far to walk is a drive?
Yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, because he says take your car and start it where warm waters halts. He tells you straight out.
So why do you think our good friend Dr. Fenn chose to use waters in a plural way and not just in the way most fishermen?
Because there's two. You know how sneaky he is. He's kind of like me, kind of sneaky.
Yeah. Well, here I have a question from you from the chat room. Hang on. Somebody wants to know how long you should open every show with your song, Jimino. Oh, okay. How long has Joe had this solved? Or how long has Joe? Wait a minute. I'm reading it wrong. Let me make sure.
Oh,
how long has Joe had this solved? Oh, so he's under the impression that you've figured it all out. So he wants to know how long have you known that you've got it all figured out?
At the end of this last year when I couldn't go feet on the ground, boots on the ground.
Feet on the ground. You go barefooted?
Yeah, most of the time. And I don't have a foot fetish.
Well, don't even start, for God's sakes. Jesus.
Okay. But anyways,
these guys get they're like sharks, man. Once they get a hold of something, they don't let it go until it's all eaten up, spit out, and bloody.
Right, and that's why Fenn says started where warm waters halt, not just one water. So and everybody finds the hot springs, and that's just one.
Yeah,
they're gonna get the same results every time.
Yeah. So I think it's very convenient that you have a solve.
If you marry it to a map, like you said, which I have, and everything fits.
Yeah.
And I'm probably 80% sure I could go to it, but I can't say 100 because I don't have it. Like everybody says, I know where it's at. I'm gonna go get it.
So you're not actually saying that. You're not actually claiming
No.
that you know where it is and that you're going to go
No,
get
but
it.
when you marry everything to the map like I did, it's all in a 10-mile radius, and everything fits like a deck of cards. And there's no place else it could be. If you was to stand this man beside the blaze,
Yeah.
Fenn,
Yeah.
it fits him to a T. It fits him where he started out as a young man, as middle-aged man, and the now man. It fits him to a T. If you was to stand him beside the blaze, that's what I can tell you right now. And you could see everything from the third stanza. So, and the reason everybody can't figure that out, that it's a real close place, it's really not. Let's say you're on the side of a mountain looking down.
Yeah.
It could be a mile or two.
Yeah.
But that's why he says, if you've been wise and used your eyeballs and found the blaze,
Yeah.
you know that it's the right blaze.
Yeah.
Because there's another hint in there.
What is the other hint?
Well, where he said that when two people know where there's a treasure, one of them has to be dead, right?
Yeah.
Well, the other one is dead. His friend, the painter.
Yeah, Eric Sloan.
Yeah, he included him in the deal, but that's the reason it sticks out like a sore thumb, and you know that's the right one.
The blaze, you mean?
Yes.
Well, it should. I hope it sticks out like a sore thumb, because if it doesn't, we're going to be wasting a lot of trips up into the mountains.
It's the size. Yeah, it's not the size of a rock, or it's something big. That's why you could see it from a long way.
Like how big?
About the size of a car.
Really? Wow. So very noticeable.
Yes, but
so even somebody like me who wears glasses will be able to recognize it.
Yeah, people see it maybe every day and they don't know what they're looking at.
Oh. So is that those guys walking past the treasure? That's the one you're talking about?
Well, the 200 footers and the 400 footers or 500, that's true. According to myself.
I am going to turn the chat off if you guys keep this up. Hang on. I'm sorry. They're being crazy in the chat room. I can do that, you know that. There can be no chat in here.
No chat. Okay. And I'd say there's 30 or 40 people go by at 500 foot every day.
Mm-hmm.
And the 200 foot mark, very few, maybe 2 to 5 a week.
So that's interesting. So the people, not the searchers, that are come within 500 feet of the treasure, have they unknowingly seen the blaze?
Yes.
Wow. So not only is it visible,
and every day they go by it 500 foot away, and they may see it or may not.
Might take a picture of it.
Huh?
So so here's another question. So let's assume that what the hypothesis that you're suggesting is actually true, that there have been people within 500 feet of the treasure, and without knowing it, they've seen the blaze.
Yes.
Does that mean without knowing it, they've solved the clues?
The last clues, but if they don't start where warm water's halt, they won't know that that's it.
So
like Fenn says,
there is what you're suggesting is there is a chance that people, not searchers, unknowingly tripped over where warm waters halt, slid by the home of Brown
every day,
did something dramatic to get the place for the meek, took a look at the blaze and pointed at it and said, "Wow, Marge, look at that rock outcrop or whatever. Look at that car-sized rock over there." And Marge says, "I'm not hacking up there to see the damn rock."
Well, that's what I was telling you the other day. They're asking the wrong question. The right question is: a blaze man-made or natural?
Yeah.
That's why they see it and they don't think nothing of it, because it's been there.
Yeah.
And all the places I found that I solved in this poem, they're married to the map. But I mean, after me and you go get it, well, we'll tell them where it was. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not saying I have it in my hands, but the solve can't fit nowhere else.
It can't fit anywhere else.
Not all of it.
You're
in one
that
spot.
certain.
Yes. You know, like he said, if you decipher it, you can go right to it. That's the reason he said I can't tell you where below the Homer Brown is, because you can go right to it, which he's right.
Okay.
Because
all right.
We're over our 10.
We are over our 10-minute mark. You've done real good. Thank you for the additional information.
Okay. One more thing.
In 25 words or less, one more thing.
Okay. People that are entering the chase, they enter at their own risk. So if they're getting hurt, that's not Finn's fault.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed. It's all at your own risk. You got to be responsible for your own actions and behaviors.
You can't carry your heart on your sleeve for
there
everybody.
You go.
Right.
All right. That's more than 25 words.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for calling in. Talk to you later.
Right. All right. Good deal. Bye-bye.
Okay. So we're going to get this foot fetish thing out of the way because I don't have a foot fetish. My aunts they had these little petite size 5, 6 foot that skinny white ladies have, because that's what they were. They were thin white ladies. But that's not my fetish. And I'll try to explain to you. I'm going to get in trouble here. So when I was interrupted by the phone. Why am I sliding to answer? What's this all about? It's the other Joe.
Yes, Joe from Waco.
Waco Joe. Okay, Waco Joe. So do you have anything to say about Rio Grande Joe's theories before that?
I do, but before we get there, I want to get some things straight.
Okay.
I am Hispanic.
Yeah, well, now
I was born.
You know what? I can tell by the inflection, the tone in your voice. Okay, go ahead.
So I when he first started, speaking, I was like, oh man, this guy's kind of close, to my theory.
Yeah.
Where warm waters halt. So in the beginning, yes, it's obviously coral. There's an S to it. So, in my theory, it's a lake. It has to be a lake of some sort.
Oh.
Fenn said to simplify. So I don't think he meant, warm waters as temperature. Everybody keeps thinking, oh, it's temperature. It has to be temperature. I believe that the snow melt, is already warmer than ice, and snow, temperature wise. So it has to meet somewhere collectively, and being, in my theory, it being a lake.
Yeah.
And then where he says, take it in the canyon. It's taken in the canyon down, correct?
Yeah.
So people think that you have to walk down a canyon, but it's to me, it's a little bit more simple than that. I think you just have to go into some sort of canyon.
Oh, no. I don't think necessarily it is like, taking the trip down the side of the Grand Canyon, and I'm talking about the Grand Canyon of the Colorado River. I think if you've been in the mountains, the simple fact of the matter is water finds its lowest level, right? So you can be in a canyon and not even realize you're in a canyon just because there's no, rock walls. Rock walls doesn't mean, the lack of rock walls does not mean you're not in a canyon. You can be in a canyon without, rock walls on either side of you.
Of course. I'm for the sake of my theory and my, like my soft solve, I'll call it, because it's not a full one. I haven't found the treasure yet, but I just think you have to literally, walk into some sort of canyon or be inside of some sort of canyon. I'm so sorry. That's Zoe.
That's what? That's baby Zoe?
This is baby Zoe, yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Soon she'll be a treasure hunter.
Yes. Not anytime soon, though. You can barely talk. So maybe later on. But as far as the no paddle up your creek, I think, again, it's simplified. I think you have to walk up a creek or next to a creek. And we talked about moisture last phone call. I'm kind of still stuck in between. It might halfway be underwater, halfway not underwater. So I'm still conflicted, but I do have a search area, and that's why I asked you about Montana. I believe it's somewhere in Montana.
Yeah.
When I first started searching, I believed it was in Mexico, New Mexico, but I have since moved on. And lastly, did you find any information on that picture that I sent you?
The one with the car and the canoe?
Yes.
I just got it. Actually, I got 2 copies. You sent me one in at the Gypsy Kiss address, and Holly, one of our moderators, sent me the same image, and I just haven't had the time to do. I try to reserve weekends for the stuff that I have to get done during the week, and today
No problem.
Today was unbox and unpackage my new electric bike. So that's what I said, and testing it out. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so what do you just to recap, what do you think about my soft solve and what I mentioned about the halfway in water, halfway out?
I work really hard not to discourage anybody and their theories unless I feel like they're putting themselves at risk. If you were telling me your theory is in the Grand Canyon where the Colorado is and you're going to be climbing down a cliff, then I would discourage you. But the reality is, at this point in time, the probability of you solving this and finding the treasure is equal to anyone else's probability. So I think what everybody should do is take the theory that works the best for them, that's the most convincing for them, and implement that theory. Go track it down. And then when you come back and you, whether let's say, and I'm not suggesting this is going to happen to you, let's say you don't find the treasure, then come back, we can have a conversation. I'll let you know what I think was different or what you could have done differently and what are the things I could input. But I don't feel like I want to discourage you anymore. Well, let me say it this way. I don't want to discourage you any more than I want to encourage you, because I think everybody should go and find out for themselves, because I think that going out and finding out for themselves is the best. That's why it's theoretical. Theory is all about learning new things so that you can refine the theory until you can prove the theory. And the only way you can prove the theory is by finding the treasure.
Awesome. Okay. All right.
So if your theory was way out of line, and I've heard these, you know that I do that 1 hour consulting deal where people can call in for $50. I've had several on those where I've had to say, you're simply not following the poem. That's where I got the driving with Toby, where I said, if the only facts we have in this treasure hunt is what Forrest Fenn wrote in the poem and said about the clues. Right, those are facts because they come directly from his mouth. And if you're ignoring those, if your theory is simply off of those, then I think your probability is very low, and I'll tell you that you're making a mistake. So the simple fact of the matter is, yours sounds what I've heard from you is you're following the clues in the poem. You're in one of the 4 search states, so you have an equal chance to all the rest of the theories that I've heard. If you didn't have it, then if you didn't have it, if you were way out of line, I would tell you you're way out of line. Does that make sense? Are you still?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So I don't mind listening to them, but the only time I'm going to try and talk you out of it is if I feel you're putting yourself at risk.
Okay. What's just really quickly? What's your opinion on the lakes? As far as the being the warm water salt. What do you think about that? Is that something you've thought about, or?
I haven't thought about. Well, I have thought about it, but I can't make it work. How are lakes warm waters versus the streams that feed them or the streams that lead them? The simple fact of the matter is, if there's a trout river that feeds the lake, the lake maintains that temperature. As a matter of fact, it has because of its size and because it's giving off more heat, because of its surface area, it tends to be cooler than the waters that feed it. And trout can handle that temperature from, around 40 degrees up to around 60 degrees. Their ideal temperature is around 55. So I don't know how it ever gets to, I don't even know how it ever gets to being warm unless you have some unusual definition of warm, right? Unless you have.
So my I guess let me try to break it down as best I can.
Okay.
So you know how
you have a minute and a half, so do it quick.
Okay, so basically the Forrest has said it's go out in the summertime or take your truck out there in the summertime, go look for it, whatnot. Okay, so in the summertime the snow melts, right? So it's already at a warmer temperature than what the snow is. So those rivers and creek beds and all that all runs off into a lake, right?
Yeah.
So I don't in my soft solve, I don't think he necessarily means warm to the touch, warm, as in a geyser or something. I think he just means
warmer than the surrounding the waters of the surrounding area.
No, warmer than the snow.
Oh,
because it's melted water.
Oh, okay.
So melted water is already warmer than snow.
Right. It's not because it's not ice. Right. It's not 32 degrees and below.
Exactly.
So warm.
So warm waters halt. He says begin it where warm waters halt. So when I hear that, I think, okay, warm waters collectively come to a lake.
Yeah.
So you start at a lake, you take it up a canyon. There's not going to be any paddle up your creek. The creek, I mean, obviously he's talking about a creek. He just said simplified. So in my head, I'm thinking, well, I mean, that just makes the most sense. Start at a lake, go up a canyon, an actual canyon,
Yeah.
Not in between two mountains or in between two hills, but in a canyon, like you said. And I don't know. That's as best as I can simplify the warm waters. I don't think he means temperatures. I don't think he means a certain temperature for brown trout or anything like that. And I think the home of brown and the blaze will be found when you go up that canyon and you have solved where warm waters halt. You take it up the canyon, or you take it down the canyon or up the canyon, and without a paddle up the creek. So that's all I got.
Okay. Well, the only thing I'd say is you said you weren't talking about temperatures, but really you are talking about temperatures, right? If you're saying that it's the water that isn't snow, well, snow is water that's frozen at 32 degrees, et cetera, et cetera. So you are talking about temperatures. You're just not talking about temperatures that we would normally think is warm.
Exactly. I'm not talking about a certain degree of warm or a certain degree. Yeah.
So here's a data point for you. The American Hot Tub Association recommends that your hot tub is a temperature of 140 degrees. I'm sorry, no, that'll cook you. 104 degrees. Is 104 degrees because that's the temperature that human beings are most comfortable at being warm at. So think about that.
Okay, I'll have to do some research on that. But
yeah.
All right.
All right. Okay. So thank you, Waco Joe. I'll call you.
No problem. Yeah, Waco Joe. That's perfect. Waco Joe.
Thanks for calling in, and we'll talk to you again, I'm sure.
Thank you, Toby.
All right. Take care.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
No, you guys can have fun, but actually, there's a point at which it's probably overdoing it, especially. Hey, no caller ID. The person that's calling right now, I'm not going to answer something that doesn't have a caller ID. And Laura Dunlap, who occasionally calls without a caller ID, knows to call in with her number soon after that. Okay. So, Christy, point well made, but there's a point at which. All right, brothers and sisters. Oh, it's not Laura calling. Okay, Laura. Cheers, Violet. Hey, Bell Center, what's up?
Hey, is this Toby?
It is.
Hi, it's Michael Wimmer calling.
Hey, Michael, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good to
I'm
hear it.
Cold, but
Oh, sorry to hear that.
hey, the warm waters. I mean, just off the top of my head, I can think of a few different types. Warm waters from a natural spring.
Mm-hmm.
That's the source of a river.
Mm-hmm.
Warm waters from thermal, and warm waters. Maybe they're just a fire hole in general as being, the queen of all warm rivers. Yeah, with it, I kept typing it in the room, but I wasn't putting the at Gypsy's Kiss, but I just wanted to make that point or underline that point that, snowmelt water is kind of cold.
Right.
So I don't know. How
well,
we can
I
call
think
that
the point
warm
that
water.
I think the point that he's making is that if let's say I have a cube of ice in my hand, and that cube of ice is a cube of ice because it's at 32 degrees or less, 32 degrees Fahrenheit or less. As that cube of ice is melting in my hand, it's going to produce a water that is effectively not necessarily the warmth of not 98.6 degrees, but it is warmer than the cube of ice. Otherwise, it would still be part of the cube of ice. So what he's suggesting is that that water that is now dripping out of my hand is warmer than the object from which it was produced. And his example was, hang on, let me take care of some business here. Just give me a sec.
No problem.
Give me 1 second because I got to take care of that. So that was his point, that it may be not warm by definition or warm in the way that a thermal activity would produce, but it is warmer than the object that produced it. That's what he was trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, the first caller, I did like the idea of there being more than one.
Yeah.
In the actual solve, because I have looked at some of the areas in Wyoming that I think you guys were. There's that place called the Wedding of the Waters.
Right. Yeah.
I thought that might be a play on words of Mary the Clues.
So let me address something that Daly just said, but it will freeze again. But I think what his point is, Daly, is that let's say, and I'll use the ice cube in my hand again as an example, as it falls off of my hand, unless it somehow is, you not only have to put it, you'd have to put it back at a lower temperature in order for it to freeze again. He's saying that water is falling away from that snow and going into the melt and ending up in a lake or a stream. Therefore, it is warmer than from whence it started. So I think that's the point. But go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I was going to, I just like that particular place as I've been sort of going around the whole 4-state area again. Because I thought there's probably something that I'm missing. And then I think on some of the shows they were featuring Sunrise Creek area, which is just north of there. So it caught my attention.
Well, a lot of people have used where he used to bathe. The river bathing is best. And you can also use, the Old Faithful feeding the fire hole feeding the Madison at Madison Junction. Actually, and that's how you end up in my case at warm waters by definition at a location in New Mexico where New Mexico gives you the precise geographic location. So I think the others.
Can you fill that out a little bit? You don't have to tell the whole theory.
No. It's everybody. Everybody
point.
knows it. So in 2009, 2010, they have since changed the regulations slightly. In 2009, 2010, if you had the New Mexico fishing regulations, and for several years before that, New Mexico had 3 definitions of trout waters, of the waters in New Mexico.
Right.
And what they said is all waters in New Mexico are warm waters except those designated as trout waters. So they never used warm and cold or cool. They used warm waters, plural, and trout waters. And then within trout waters, there was subsection called special trout waters, which had additional regulations. Like you could only catch a trout bigger than 17 inches and it was catch and release, et cetera, et cetera. So in New Mexico, there are warm waters, and they include a lot of lakes and streams in northern New Mexico. Then there's sections that are identified as trout waters, and they're protected. They have certain protections on them. You can still catch fish, but there's certain regulations associated with them. Like in warm waters, you can fish with salmon eggs. You can fish with salmon eggs or some of those spongy marshmallow trouts. I never have. In trout waters, you have to use artificial lures. In special trout waters, it's catch and release. Okay. The advantage of having that, so not only do they use the phrase warm waters, but in addition to that, they identify where warm waters halt. So I can tell you, I know from experience that on the Cimarron River, which there's no change in this section, right? There's no physical change. There is no change in temperature. There is no change in color. There is no change in the siltiness. But at the east end of the, now I forgot the name of the campground. It's the first campground that you hit when you're going down Cimarron Canyon. It was the name of that minister that was gunned down in the canyon. The Toby. At the east end, eastmost end, the eastmost boundary of the Toby campground on the Cimarron River, warm waters halt at that precise location. Okay. And you can step over that boundary, that imaginary boundary, and you'll be in trout waters. You will have gone from warm waters to trout waters. So you have a precise, I can give you that location. If you were to ask me, Toby, where do warm waters halt on the Cimarron Canyon? I can give you a precise geographic location to 6 decimals.
Okay, so you're drilling down into actual locations, not just using the border itself, the border of New Mexico, Colorado.
Well, okay. So in the Rio de los Pinos, theory, my Rio de los Pinos theory, the definition of waters in Colorado is completely different from the definition of waters in New Mexico.
Okay.
Right? So
yes,
their waters are all warm. So there is a distinction at the border because on the Rio de los Pinos at the border, you're in trout waters. The warm waters halted at the border.
Oh, okay. And it might be different on different rivers, obviously.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you can, on the Rio Grande, for example, there are 4 locations, including the Colorado border, where warm waters halt on the Rio Grande before you get to Espanola.
So now, if we're accepting that premise for warm waters, why does he keep driving the point of dip your toe in it?
Flashbang.
That's all he's doing?
I think so. Flashbang.
Okay.
Distraction.
Yeah, because dip your toe would have multiple meanings. Are you dipping it for warm?
Yeah. Are you dipping your toe? And what is it that your toe is going to discover in the way of a precise location for all of that? The difference in at what point? I mean, have you ever been any place where there's warm water followed by on the same stream, lake, where one side is warm and the other is cool? If it happens that way, and you're able to, with the magic of your finger, tell the difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the only place that would be Yellowstone at the fire hole, because the fish swim into the cool water.
Yeah, away
in the summer.
from the warm. Yeah.
And you should be able to tell the difference. But that's a whole nother discussion, I think.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah, that's helpful. All right, I'm going to cut off before my 10 minutes so I don't get in trouble.
Oh, no,
And,
you will not get in trouble. Nobody's going to get in trouble for going over that. 10 minutos.
Yeah. Well, all of our warm waters in Ohio are gone.
Yeah.
It's officially winter here.
Yeah. Uh-oh. I lost you, Michael. I hope that wasn't my fault. So let me get... there's some text messages. Tim Molina from Albuquerque. There seems to be a lot of searchers convinced that Fenn owns the property where it's at. Seems to me that this theory could be checked by doing a search of what Fenn owns and where. Maybe time-consuming, but just possible. Just a thought no one discusses. Tim, I don't agree with that theory because I think that would create problems. That would create problems for the finder, and I believe that Forrest made it as easy as possible for the finder, when he's given title to it, to actually own it without having to go through additional issues related to property ownership. Let's see. Kiwis Road says, just would like to know if you would send that picture to KPRO. I don't know what picture you were talking about, Kiwi. Christy commentary. Somebody from Ohio, you should open over your show with your song. We're doing that, Jim. How long has okay? You asked that. So the Madison River, warm waters, Hebbian Lake, not warm waters. Good one. Another Ohio caller. Yeah, Jim from Ohio. That is another Ohio caller. Okay, so let's play some music here. Oh, it's Hey brother, what are you up to?
Hey, Tovmeister, Toby Sanson.
Toby Wan, my granddaughter, the last time I was in Washington, called me Toby Wan.
Yeah. Toby Wan Kenobi.
So what are you up to?
Yeah, no good.
Why not?
Well, I-4, yeah, why not? Yeah, that's
exactly.
the better one, yeah.
Hey,
how you doing, brother?
I'm doing very good. Could I ask you a favor?
Yes.
Would you do me the favor of sending I thought I had your shipping address and it was on the box. And when I tore the box open and dumped the stuff out, I threw the box away. So send me your shipping address to gypsykiss@gmail.com so I can get your package to you.
Well, I'll send you another one. That's what I was going to say on this one here.
Well, that's very kind.
You can wait till I send you the next one.
Okay, well, I just want you to know I've got something for you that I'm returning the favor for.
I sure hope so.
So, yeah.
You was wanting some sand from like on the other side of the Florida coast, right?
Yeah, the Gulf side. I don't have anything from the Gulf side.
Okay,
especially if it's
Pompano Beach.
Yeah, Pompano Beach. That's good. That's the Gulf side. That would be great. Where'd you get that?
I got some friends at work that were headed down there, and I told them, get me some sand.
We've created a monster.
Yeah,
well, that is very kind of you. How kind of you.
It's in a cute little freaking glass. It's really cool.
And did they take pictures or anything?
Yeah. I got 3 pictures.
Oh, how great is that?
Yeah.
Well, that's
they
perfect.
Listened well.
Yeah, they
Better
did.
Than I did.
And what I'll do is when it gets on the show, I will let you know so you can let them know.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to watch it.
Yeah.
So
I got another friend. He's doing a Caribbean cruise, and I was like, gather me up some sand.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. Pictures. That's all it takes. I mean, we're probably, I'm going to say 25 to 30 samples deep right now. because we are getting other samples. So we've got plenty of time to receive them and work them into the schedule. So
okay, on this here package, I'll put in the coin, that big old
that big
half pounder,
half pounder,
and then I'm thinking I'm going to send you a bunch of the box necklaces, and you can take them for sure to the World Series of Fend.
Okay.
I mean, we can. I'm sure K Pro's listening now. I mean,
she is.
All RSVP, but I'm not. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go, but I'm going to send you the necklaces, and you can take them for the prize pool.
I'll bring them with me, and we will definitely. I'll run them through the ultrasonic cleaner, and then we'll polish them and make sure they get into the prize pool.
That would be great, Toby.
Tony, that would be great that you're sending them.
Yeah, and Shelley's got the scepter.
Oh, are you?
I'll throw in some crystals.
Oh, super!
And I'll throw in a couple of them that are nice big ones.
Yeah.
And maybe a picture of my big old biggin in my hand.
Oh, okay, good. That would be great.
I mean, a big old amethyst that I dug up. I mean, it'll be cool. It'll be cool.
So did you give that other amethyst to your daughter yet?
No, I haven't. No, she's coming in April.
Yeah.
And I'll probably hand it over then.
Oh, good. Well, good.
But yeah, she's going to get it for sure.
I did get the other one mounted. I did get it mounted, and I've got a beautiful chain for it. So Toby's going to be.
Her birthday's coming up soon, right?
Yeah, Toby Renee is February 2nd, but she and her boyfriend are going to be traveling to Europe and Israel for her birthday. That's kind of her birthday present. They travel each year. So
she'll love you for that, Tuna.
Yeah. Yeah, she will love it. I know she will, because the girls, they've always gotten jewelry from me, and they always love getting the jewelry from me. And what's really funny is the two of them that are married, Toby Renee's not married, but they've kind of learned, like, if you want to make this woman happy, just keep giving her jewelry, you know.
Yeah.
So
it works.
Yeah,
it does.
It does. Makes them happy. So yeah, I look forward to receiving those.
It's really special when you make it.
Exactly. That's kind of how I always felt. It's
more personable. It's like from you.
Yeah, and making it isn't that hard, because you can buy the perfectly. They have stones in standard sizes.
They
have settings in standard sizes, and I'm very fortunate to live here. I don't know if you know Rio Grande. Supply is right here in Albuquerque, so it's a 30-minute drive away from me, and I can go down there and go through their 3-inch thick catalog and just pick the stuff that I need. So it's very convenient.
Heard you talk about that.
Yeah, they're a great
here
company.
In Idaho, we got like the Spencer mine with the opals up here.
Yeah,
Idaho opals they're beautiful.
I think I like the blue-green of the Idaho opals. I mean, if you threw an Australian opal at me, I wouldn't throw it back. But I do love the blue-green of the Idaho opals.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll buy a couple of calves and then send them back to you, and you can set them. And,
okay, I'd love that. That would be great.
Yeah.
Because
okay, getting to the Fenn thing. I was listening early.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, my opinion on where warm water halts, all right, is where cold water starts.
Warm water halts
not
where
a
cold.
Fennism.
No. That's
where warm water halts is where cold water starts.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Yes, so it could be cold above where this starts.
And warm below?
Yes.
Huh?
Where it's thawed out, where warm water halts is where cold water starts.
Yeah.
Okay. So not far, but too far to walk in my mind's eye is like you can see it. It's too far to walk, like a big old mountain up there. It's too far to walk, but it's not too far because you can see it.
Yeah.
So you take the road around and come down to the canyon where this is starting.
Yeah.
Below the Homa Brown. And I've posted on this. I mean, I'm up north, and I think it's my opinion.
Yeah.
It's up north, in my opinion, because Yeah, it's like the Blackfeet Indian Reservation is known as the home of Brown.
Yeah.
I mean, and Browning right there in the map that he put in the next book is cut off where it says Browning, it's cut off to Brown. It's like an unintended clue, right?
Yeah.
So you go in down below, and I mean, it's the whole reservation of that and Glacier.
But you're not implying that it's on the reservation. Is that correct?
No, it's on the border, the waterway, the borders of Glacier and Browning,
Yeah.
which is nobody's land,
Yeah.
right? Because of the high water mark of, yeah, it's everybody's land.
Yeah.
Okay, and you go down and you come in at the bottom end of Glacier,
Uh-huh.
like East Glacier. There's a put in down there. It's Google this. It's like running Eagle Falls in Glacier. Yeah, it's amazing. It's like a waterfall that comes through the mountain. It's like a blaze coming through the mountain.
Yeah.
And then whatever doesn't come through comes over the top in the high waters. So you'll see, I mean, it's really thinny right there. But
so
off
where does all of this where does this theory of yours take you? Where do you end up?
Hopefully at the chest. I don't know. Yeah, it's our own chases. We all have our own chases.
Yeah, yeah.
At this Running Eagle Falls, I mean, if you Google that, it'll have it. I mean, it's a blaze that comes through the mountain. It's like I said, whatever doesn't come through it comes over the top, and it makes another little waterfall. But as you're going in there, there's a dry channel that goes up the right.
Yeah.
It's like that's the name of it, is dry something, which I don't know. To me, all the things that I've interpreted on the poem, the book, the original book, is like there's doubleisms of all this stuff.
Right.
It's like what he put in the chest is doubles. So there might be a blaze at the start and a blaze at the end, like the going up the dry channel. You can't paddle up it, but you won't get in trouble. You won't no paddling, you know.
Yeah.
On up through, on the on the left up through this, and I mean I walked up through there, and
So once you walked up through there, how did you feel about your theory? I mean, you've got to have some sense of what's going on at that point if you're going through all that trouble.
When I first walked in there, I crossed over where the Running Eagle Falls was. I crossed the creek there, and I was searching on the left side over around, and I mean it was like it's a beautiful area up there at the East Glacier and that. I was looking for, I don't know, a nook or a cranny or something that, and then I don't know, I did a spun around, come back down, and then I was going to take another picture of the falls, and I pulled my camera out of my pocket on my flannel shirt, and I had a bunch of folded money come out, and then I spun around trying to catch that, and I went down in the water. And,
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, really fun. Yeah, I braved the cold for sure. But
well, you were in
anyways,
the
I
wood.
went back to the truck, and then
Yeah.
I went up that dry channel. It's right there at that. And I'd always thought about the blaze, and could it be a power line, like he blazed out or not he did, but they did.
Yeah.
Power lines through there, and an easement or something of that nature. And it's not up there that far. I mean, it's less than 3/4 of a mile up that dry channel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went up there, and then I was seeing a little island, like, anyways, I searched around there, and then I come back. I was disappointed. Yes.
Yeah.
But still, I don't know. I have a feeling where, that's, every time I've ever called in here before, I was always talking rocks and fishing and whatever.
And gemstones, yeah.
Yeah. Which is, I'll send you some of them too. I was a rock hound since I could walk. I mean, I think we're created, not made, or
right.
It's natural. But yeah, I got all kinds of jaspers and agates, and that I've polished, cut and polished. And I was down there to Luna, New Mexico. I went in there and got a bunch of nice agates. They are beautiful.
They are beautiful. Yeah, that is really true. They are beautiful.
But anyways, I thought I'd come clean on the solve that I had.
Well, that's the way to do it. You should join us in our member vault. You'd have fun in there with those other folks in there.
Yeah, I'm sure I would. But anyways, I'll send you the package. You can have the necklaces to take down in case I don't come. At least I'm sure you're going.
I am certain to go. I've already made my reservation, so I will be there, and I'll make sure that I take them with me and get them to K-Pro.
Yeah. And then I was going to haul down one and trade her for the number 3 coin.
Oh, who has the number? Is that Copper Dan? Does he have the number 3 coin? Who has the number 3?
He has the other colored one.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, they're 2 different ones.
Well, there is one coming in this package that I'm sending you, so you'll have another one.
I appreciate it. And like I said, I got Shelley's scepter. Let's see what else I got. I'll put in a bag of crystals, some really nice ones.
Yeah.
And a couple of big ones.
Well, we'll include some of those. Some of those will go directly into the treasure chest.
Right on.
So that treasure chest is filling up pretty quick. I'll tell you. We're gonna have to start not including stuff at this point. So, but I'll make sure some of that stuff will get in there.
Well, if you need to, just take the coin out of the case. It doesn't need to have the case.
Well, what I'm going to do is I've decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to put everything in, probably in plastic bags for saving, but then I'm going to wrap it in some shrink wrap, some of that stuff that you can heat and it shrinks around it.
Yeah.
So that it's pretty much impervious to anything that might, that anybody that might get into it. So.
Yeah, I'm sure if you just wrap the case, it'd be fine.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to protect it. It's brass. It's not gonna.
Yeah.
It's not gonna. It's gonna survive, but it's if I don't wrap it in plastic, there's gonna rust. So, all right, sir. Well, thank you for calling in, and I look forward to receiving that package. And as soon as I get your address, I'll respond with a package for you.
All right. Yeah, I work like Wednesday through Sunday, so I don't have days off till the Monday, Tuesday, and I'll get it out to you, Tobe.
All right. I look forward to it.
All right.
Have a good evening, Tony. Thanks for calling in.
See you. Bye.
Bye-bye. So I turned the phone lines off for just a second because I finally realized what Kiwis Road was talking about. And that was and this is directed at K-Pro, and if you want to call in and talk about it, K-Pro, you can. But Kiwi won last Wednesday's prize, which was the photograph, the drone shot of my little red truck crossing the Rio de los Pinos. And Kiwi, of course, lives in Australia, and he suggested it would cost a fortune to ship it up there. So he asked that I send it to you, Christy, that you get the prize that he won. That's what he was talking about when he asked about the picture. So, Christy, let me know if you want the picture. Just say so in the room. And if not, then Kiwi can give it to somebody else. If you do want it, just say so, and then send me an email with your shipping address so I can send it to you. Okay? And guys, don't worry about the trolls coming in. We take care of them right away. YouTube gives us lots of tools for taking care of them. They'll come in, make a little bit of noise, then we can get rid of them, and they have to really work hard. And I'm not offended by any of that. It's, it says more about them than it does about me. We don't play down, and that's what it would be. Okay, phone lines are back open, but let's play some musica here. Let's see. Okay, Christy, I'll bring it to the World Series of Fenn. So I think this is from Jim, who is one of the members in our. He said the member vault puts him to sleep. It does put him to sleep, but for another reason. Hey, you've reached the Gypsy's Kiss. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Uso from Arizona.
Uso?
Yeah.
USO? Uso?
Yes.
Oh, interesting name. I've never heard that before. Where does it come from?
USAL.
Oh, okay.
It's from a story I read a long time
ago.
ago.
Cool. So, how can I help you?
Oh, I must apologize. I am sick as well. Getting over a cold.
No need to apologize. It doesn't hurt me because we're at least a phone line away.
Basically, my main question, I just need a reality check because I was talking to my brother and he thinks I'm crazy, but if there was some, and I'm asking this because of your background, if there was something biometric in one of his books, like let's say Fenn published a copy of his iris and it was scannable.
Yeah.
What would be the point of that? Because he already has his hair in the jar.
Well, let's talk about, have you heard my story about why I thought the hair was in the jar?
I don't remember that one. No.
All right. So I think the hair was in the jar because there was a slight possibility that he imagined this possibility. So I think it comes from two things, but let me explain what I mean, and then we can go back to your question about biometrics. So he hid that treasure in the summer of either 2009 or 2010. He's never been specific, but he always says, make sure he says he was 79 or 80. All right. So let's say he hid it in the summer of 2009. The book wasn't published until October. It wasn't released until October of 2010. What would have been the chances? There is a slim chance that the treasure might have been found before the book was published. And the hair in the jar would have provided DNA evidence that he was actually the hider of the chest and could lay claim to how he wanted it to be liquidated or given away or whatever. I think that's why it was there. So it didn't have to be biometric necessarily, because it wasn't for the purposes of, let's say, unlocking, something that's in the chest. It was there to ensure that he could identify the chest as his own. If somebody found the chest and the court, whatever reason, the jurisdiction that in which it was discovered said, well, it's not yours, it's ours, he could have said, no, it's mine. That's my hair in the jar.
Gotcha.
So why do you think I don't think there's anything biometric associated with it, but where were you going with that?
Well, in Once Upon a While, there's biometrics in that.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's the third book, and he included something that could, conclusively prove who he is.
Right.
But I don't see why he would do that if, like you're saying, the identifier of the hair is already in the jar. Why would he do that?
Yeah, it wouldn't be necessary. And as it is, eventually the book was published, and there's enough information in the book, the stories that are told, the images of the treasure, etc., and why he did it, including the poem, that he also expects that one day he's going to pass, and there is a chance that the treasure is found as discovered after he's gone, and all of that doesn't make any difference anyway. Then it's up to the jurisdiction and the finder and how good the finder's attorneys are. But you do have the book. We've always said that Too Far to Walk is the memoir that Forrest Fenn would have written if he didn't have to hide a treasure, if he didn't have to go through the process. We think The Thrill of the Chase was written specifically as a vehicle for the poem and identifying the treasure.
So the fact that he would do, let's say he did something like that in his third book, if everything's already kind of been established in the first two books, do you think it's just my imagination, or do you think is there any reason you could think of in the security community that he would do it?
I'm not going to call it your imagination. That would be unfair. It could be your opinion, but I can't give you any reason from a intelligence technology perspective that he would do that in the context of the treasure hunt. Everything the person who finds it needs to own it is in the book. The hair in the jar would have only come into play if the treasure had been discovered before the book was released.
Okay. I got a couple minutes left. I got another question.
Everybody's sticking the 10
I'm
minutes.
looking at my timer.
Do the best. We'll do the best. We're going to get your questions answered.
Okay. Well, I've done a lot of hiking in superstitions, looking for the Dutchman's mine.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that today.
This is some of the best time of my life.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that you're very cognizant about going in there is how dangerous it is.
And it's not only dangerous from a landscape perspective. It's dangerous because people have been killed looking for the treasure. Right? It's dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's physically dangerous.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're going in there with, I would go in with a 40, 50 pound pack.
Yeah.
I only weigh 145.
Yeah.
And it was water, mostly water, but there were, tools and stuff.
Yeah.
And you don't want people to see those tools.
Right.
So you're getting out of your car and there's a guy next to you strapping on a 9mm. It kind of freaks you out. My question is, if he took the treasure and the chest in two separate trips, the location, to my mind, would have to be obscured from direct line of sight, because knowing the properties of gold, how it coins, how it can scratch, things like that, he would need time to unload these things delicately into this chest to not damage them, because there's also glass jars and stuff.
Yeah.
So it would seem like all the places I look at you can see them line of sight, even though they're obscure locations.
Yeah.
But do you think that he would need an obscure location and a location that was out of direct line of sight?
I would think it depends how you define obscure, but at a minimum, I would think it would have to be out of line of sight. You'd have to make two trips. You'd have to go up there in an innocuous way, right? because you don't. It could be in an area. I mean, if people have been within, if non-searchers have been within 500 feet, you're going to attract attention if you're not going off trail and then someplace where all of this can be done in a private way. In addition to that, he's always spoken of this area, this special place of his, as very secluded. He just referred to it in one of the recent interviews as, he didn't use the word secluded, isolated. Isolated is the word that he used in the most recent interviews. So I can't imagine that he would do all of this within line of sight. Therefore, I can't imagine, and I can't, I'm not going to disagree with Waco, or was it Rio Grande? One of the Joes said that you can see the blaze from a distance, from one of the other clues. I believe you can see the blaze when you're within striking distance of it, if you will, stone's throw distance. But I don't think it's the kind of thing where you can see the blaze from off in the distance, nor can anybody else. I think you have to be in that isolated, secluded area in which he considers his special place, because I think one of the characteristics of a special place is that there's some sense of privacy. How special can it be if the whole world is traipsing through there with 65-pound packs?
Yeah.
And I also don't think... based on his activities, I don't think anybody needs to be, it's one thing to say I'm walking in to the Superstitions to look for the Lost Dutchman. I would go with a 65-pound pack. If I go in looking for Fenn's treasure, I go with a relatively small pack that's weighed down by a couple of bottles of water, bear spray, and a 9mm pistol, flashlight, the minimum, certainly nowhere near 65 pounds. And if I needed more room in the backpack, I'd just dump all that stuff out and buy it again. Maybe not the 9mm pistol, but
I guess and the other thing is, when I was in the Superstitions, you can be way up on a mountain and you hear like a tiny noise and you look a couple 100 feet down and you see people.
Yeah.
So it would have to be something that kind of guards against noise refraction, or however you would say that.
Well, the other thing,
bouncing off.
The reflection, it's effectively an echo, right? Because you may not be able to hear them, but if it bounces off the wall towards you, you get the echo of their activities. But I agree in that sense. But I also believe, it is my opinion, that the area in which he hid the treasure is very different. And I have been to the Superstitions. I haven't been for the purpose of looking for the Lost Dutchman. But the area around the Superstitions is much different in ecology and environment than the area that I imagine the treasure to be. I imagine the treasure in a riparian zone, in a coniferous forest, et cetera, et cetera. Very different from...
right, things that would buffer the sound.
Yeah,
and break
exactly.
It up.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is I think the only thing in the chest, as he describes it, that you would have to be judicious in its placement about is the olive jar. The rest of the stuff, you can dump it in there. It can take, gold is not as soft as if it bounces against other gold, it's not going to scratch. The gemstones you might have to be careful with by not dropping a bunch of stuff in there because, but I think you can do that without, the only other thing I imagine him doing is taking the time to make it look pretty. If you know what I mean, because I think there's a real sense that when and I think he said this in one way, I'm not sure of his exact words, but I've always imagined that he placed the treasure so that when you open it, your first reaction is, oh my God, how beautiful is this, and how fortunate am I to have found it? So
yeah. Well, thank you for all that. I just have one last question.
You still have time, because you're already over anyway. So what the heck? Go with it.
Do you think? And I don't know a lot about boats, but one of my exes her family had a boat. Do you think tow could mean tow hitch? Like how you back a boat into the water, and sometimes the hitch is going into the water?
I'm not sure what you're. Give me some context. I don't know what you're.
Oh, toe. He says dip your toe in it. I'm thinking toe.
Oh, I see.
Where you have to back the boat into the water, and it gets wet because you have the distance you have to go into the water.
I could only answer that question if I believed that dipping your toe in the water was actually a recommendation that he makes seriously. So, I don't believe that.
Okay, well, thank you for all your help.
My pleasure. Thanks for calling in. I hope your cold gets better.
I hope so too. Have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye. Good questions. Okay, so I'm bringing the picture of the World Series of Fence, something else to put in the luggage. Let's see. Does the 1 hour consulting include Zoom? Zoom at your choice. If all you want is a phone call, you can do a phone call. If not, we can do it on Zoom. Your choice again. Hi, Toby. This is Daily Agenda texting from Arizona. If all waters in Colorado are considered warm, then would you start in Colorado? All waters are warm in Colorado. I don't know necessarily that all waters are warm in Colorado. They are only warm by New Mexico's definition. And in order to get to the search area that we do on the Rio de los Pinos, you actually have to go through Colorado. We go north to, what is Antonito? And then we head east from there, and then we take route Forest Road 103 into the mountains, and we actually go through Colorado. Gedelcon. Thank you, Gedelcon, for that kind super chat. And yeah, you're not mad. You're just a little twisted, aren't we all? Daily, yeah, we go into Colorado and then back around down through, Colorado into the Rio Grande National Forest, and then back down into New Mexico into the Carson National Forest, because the two forests are divided by the state line. So we do go through Colorado. But there is a road that comes up from Chama towards that area, but it's the kind of a road that I wouldn't recommend to anyone. I mean, it's you would have to have more than just a four-wheel drive. You would have to have a vehicle that's designed for driving on the kinds of roads, because if you drive on that road, it will change your vehicle, and not for the better. That's the kind of road it is if you don't have exactly the right kind of vehicle. We've seen hunters come down that road when we're in our search area. I think it's New Mexico Forest Road 78 that goes north from Chama into exactly the same location, but it's a monster of a road. And these are guys, the hunters that go through have, vehicles that have been modified specifically to handle that kind of road. Forest Road 103. That's right. That's the one we take down from Colorado. And then we have to cross the Rio de los... I don't have my magical treasure princess here to toss. Let's see. Hi, Toby. This is Christian from New Jersey. Can you read the last sentence from where my finger is? Maybe the clues are not what people are looking for, like water and actual canyon. Please let me know. So he sent me a picture on my... It doesn't want to grow. Christian, do me a favor and tell me what page in the book that is. If it is The Thrill of the Chase, I can't tell. Ugh. Let me see. Okay, here we go. So I don't know where he's getting this from. I said there were a lot of smart people out there, and I feared the poem would be deciphered quickly and the treasure found... Oh, sorry. I'll have to get back to it. Hey, you've reached the Gypsy's Kiss. What's your name? Where are you calling from? And what's your question, if you have one?
Hi, my name is Marilyn, and I'm from California.
Hi, Marilyn. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I do have one question.
Okay.
And my question is, I was going over some of the comments from Jenny Coyote's site.
Uh-huh.
And I came across one today. It said when Forrest Fenn used the word halt, and he used it in the context of spirituality. Have you heard, or do you have any opinion on that?
So who wrote that? Did Forrest Fenn write that?
Yeah, Fenn wrote it, and he used the word halt. But he was using it in the concept of spirituality, like a soul or something.
So, okay, so clarify for me. So Forrest wrote something on Mysterious Writings,
right?
He was referring to the use of the word halt in the poem?
No, he was using another term, but the fact that he used that word was kind of interesting because he used it in a different term.
So can you send me the link to that particular comment so I can just look at it? Because if he used it, he had to give himself some sort of context independent of the poem. I suppose it could be the use of the word halt in the context of spirituality, because he claims to be a spiritual person, but I've never heard him make that connection.
Well, he was saying that like part of his soul was going into the treasure chest. That was part of the comment that he made.
Oh, you've got to send me that link, please. Let me take it. I've never. I can't. I'd be hesitant to comment on it without having a look at it myself.
Yeah, I should have written it down, but I didn't.
That's all right. If you send me the link, send it to gypsyskiss@gmail.com, and I'll try to take a look at it tonight. And if not tonight, then I'll look at it before our show on Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
All right, Marilyn. Have a good evening. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
Bye now. Okay, so let me go back to this. I said that there were a lot of smart people out there, and I feared the poem would be deciphered quickly and the treasure found in a week. But he assured me that the poem, while absolutely But he assured me while absolutely reliable, if the 9 clues were followed in order, was extremely difficult to interpret, so tricky that he wouldn't be surprised if it took 900 years before someone cracked it. That doesn't surprise me in the least. When first I heard this plan, okay, so let's see what the question is. Hi, Toby, this is Christian from New Jersey. Can you read the last sentence from where my finger is? Maybe the clues are not where people are looking for the water and then actually a canyon. Please let me know. So I don't think the clues are any harder than each of us independently makes them. But he didn't make it easy. You've got to remember that it is in Forrest's best interest, and I've heard this recently, that he wants the treasure found. I don't agree with that. I think the longer that the longer that the treasure remains unfound, unrecovered, the longer Forrest Fenn's name stays alive. And while one of the purposes was to get us all out into the field and away from our little texting machines, etc., the longer it's out there, the longer Forrest Fenn's name remains in conversation. The minute the treasure is found, it's the end of Forrest Fenn. The point at which the treasure is found, if it's found, I guess to a certain extent it could be either way. But the minute the treasure is found, Forrest Fenn's name stops. And maybe there's something to be said with a finder. I'm not one of those people that believe that suddenly the finder is going to be the star of movies and books. I think it's going to be some publicity from some outlets. Excuse me. A little bit of publicity, and then it will die off. And then the only news will come from the legal troubles that the finder will experience as a result of finding the treasure. But I think the longer it's out there, the happier Forrest Fenn will be, whether he's on this earth or not. Because if I was going to hide a $2 million treasure, I would make it as difficult as possible so that treasure and my name would last as long as possible. I mean, that's what it boils down to. And that it still gets, and then there's the byproduct of it still getting people off their couches, away from their little texting machines and out into nature. So it's not easy. He's not going to make it. It's not easy. He doesn't want it found, and he's not giving us any clues in the hopes that we're all going to rush out this spring and find it. He wants it out there as long as it can stay. Glenn from Oregon says under 5,000 feet. Glenn, I'm at the under 1,000 feet group. Mike in Montana says Fenn said only a couple of places where warm water salt are south of Santa Fe. So what are these? And then start looking for the same thing north of Santa Fe, Mike in Montana. So I guess there's a couple of options. There are hot springs south of Santa Fe in the mountains, both the San Andres and the San Antonios, but they are few and far between. Here's what's consistent about that and my whole warm water salt theory. If you look at the New Mexico fishing map from 2009, 2010, there are actually locations south of Santa Fe in which there are warm waters and trout waters, and they're on the map. Now, they happen to be up in the mountains, but there's a couple of them on that map. So I think that's what he was referring to. Terry Scant, its idea is 6478. Yeah, just send it to me, guys. I don't know mysterious writings well enough to find stuff, so just send it to my email. Send the link to my email address, and I'll take it from there. Corey Jacobs, Godelcon says he had his first Popeye's chicken sandwich tonight. It was okay. Oh, well, that's kind of discouraging. I'm not a big sandwich guy, so I haven't been over to get him yet. So. This would be a good, Swami, that's a rough estimate of the face value of the contents of the chest. It's been estimated for everything from $750,000 to $2 million. Margie Goldsmith, in every article she writes, it goes up $2 million. So I think she's at about $6 million now. My people have estimated that it's worth $5 to $8 million at auction. I feel like it'll go for more than that if we get the right bidders. But we don't have the treasure, so the $2 million value. It's anywhere from $750,000 to $2 million by taking each piece and selling it independently. Right, that's where that value comes from. I think it's more than that. Margie Goldsmith thinks it's even more than that. All right, so I'm not going to apologize for you guys doing that, for Sassy protecting my interests. Okay, so here's the link. But I just got a text message from, no name, and they want me to finish the ant story. So I will do this on one condition. That you don't try to guess anymore what my fetish is. I think I don't try to guess what your fetish is. And you know what? Every one of us has at least one, so don't even go there. But I'll tell you the story if you promise not to bring it up anymore and harass me over it. So I want everybody to say, we promise not to beat you up over this. I'll just tell the story, but it's not going to... I'll just tell the story as it happened, right? So this is from Roger S.A., Texas, San Antonio, Texas. If it's not a cipher, why does he have a keyword? And as you just mentioned, he said some smart person will soon decipher it. He said, don't mess with my poem, but he also said, don't marry the poem with the book. Your thoughts, please. So I have a sense that Fenn uses those words, cipher, decipher, keyword, in a way that isn't intended to imply what those words would mean to somebody like me. When you say those words to somebody like me with my background, my reaction is the poem is a cipher, I have to decipher it, and he's provided me a keyword in order to unlock that, right? And that's what I did for the first 2 years I was in this treasure hunt. That's what I did. I treated it like a cipher. I have spreadsheets over spreadsheets attempting to decipher it. I gave it to some of my friends at NSA and asked them to take a hand at it because that's what they do. I wasn't a crypto analyst. I was a intelligence analyst. So I had some friends still there and asked them to take a look at it. And not my age, because I still did work for the agency after I left. And they came back and they said, no, there's no cipher here. There's nothing there. And there's nothing that indicates that it's a keyword. And they wouldn't know what to look for. So I've noticed over time that he's used that. So one of the quotes, and I can't remember, I'm sure that one of the folks in the room could remember it. He said, you don't have to know ciphers, scientific theory. He gave a whole list of things that you didn't need to know in order to resolve the poem. And one of them was ciphers. Or codes and or ciphers. So in the most recent, after that, I started wondering, does he know that when he uses those words, they have a specific meaning? Because when you say keyword to me, I think in terms of my experience as a keyword, I look for a keyword and then I use it to unlock, the purpose of the keyword is to unlock the cipher. That's why it's called a keyword. So, but recently I noticed that in the interview with Christy and Cynthia and Mike, he didn't use, Mike kept asking him. Mike, he was teasing them. And Mike would say, can I ask you a question? And Forrest would say, yes. And then he'd say, well, that was a question. He did the same to Cynthia. And finally, one of them got the question out. And when he responded, he did not use the word keyword to describe how he was answering it. What he said was, and I'm going to paraphrase here. What he said was, there is a word that is more important than some of the others. That's a very different definition from the use of the word keyword. And I think what's happened over time, because he hasn't been asked that question in a long time, what's happened over time is that he was misusing. I don't want to say that's probably would offend him. That when he used the word keyword to describe that special word, that he wasn't being accurate. And I think it's important for him to be accurate. I think he was using keyword in the same sense that all of us would use it. But if you say keyword to people who are experiencing ciphers, that has a very specific meaning for them. And so he changed his definition. He didn't use the word, even though it was asked. Mike used it and Cynthia used it. And he hesitated and he thought for a while. And I think he made a conscious decision not to repeat the phrase, the word keyword. And instead he said, there is a word that is special, was it special? You guys are going to have to correct me. I think what he said, there is a word that is more special than some of the others. That is, by any stretch of the imagination, not the definition of keyword. And so I think when he uses things like keyword, cipher, decipher, he's using them in the context of the language, the lexicon, if you will, the English lexicon when you're talking about poems. Because people, when they're talking about poems, the secret, they refer to them as ciphered, deciphered. But when you look at the solution for the Boston poem, there was no deciphering. It was complete interpretation. It was the lady with a smile turns out to be a statue of Columbus that has a female look to it. I mean, there was no deciphering. There was interpretation in it. So I don't think it's likely that there is a cipher, that there is a keyword. No, my keyword was treasures, right? It was, and it's treasures, not treasure. And with my treasures bold, I thought that was the key word, and that's what I worked from because that's the one that made the most sense. It looked most like the one that you'd use a keyword because of the repeated letters. But there is no keyword in the poem, and because there's no keyword, there is likely no cipher in the poem. So, and my friends who do this for a living came to the same conclusion. Toby, Rio Grande Joe here. Rio Grande, you're pushing it now. You not only took up your 10 minutes, but now you're sending text messages. Toby, Rio Grande Joe here. If we recover the chest before Fenbury, will it still go on in July? Wow, good question, Rio Grande. I like that kind of positivity. You know what? I'll tell you what. If you find the treasure before Fenbury, the Magical Treasure Princess and I will go up to the Hyde Memorial State Park on July 4th and celebrate by ourselves. Yeah, Joe, you can ask me that question again when you find the treasure. Until then, it's pure hypothesis. My answer, I mean. It's pure hypothesis. As a matter of fact, it's as much a hypothesis as you having the treasure by that time, right? It's all hypothetical. Thanks for this sesh, Holly. You're welcome. How are you doing? Oh, okay. So I'm going to finish the ant story. So when I was a little boy, I was probably around, I'm going to guess 5 or 6. My grandmother and my grandfather's on my mother's side had a big house in Santa Fe at the intersection of Palace and Alameda. It was catty-corner to what was then St. Vincent's Hospital. It's a hotel now, but at the time, it was the hospital that I was born in. And it was a big house. It had, it was multiple levels, and it had a bunch of rooms plus guest rooms with a couple of dining rooms and things like that. And at holiday time, my uncles, who didn't all live in Santa Fe, so a couple of my uncles lived in Santa Fe, the ones that married Anglo women, non-Hispanic women, would come and would come there for the holidays. And one of my uncles was my uncle Ernesto, and he's passed away. He was a professor, a doctor of industrial arts at Northern Colorado University in Greeley. And that's where he lived with his beautiful wife, Pauline, and 5 children. I can't remember the makeup. There was David, Stephen, I don't remember the girls. Anyway, they were all a little bit younger than my brothers and sisters. So they would all come for the holidays, and they would, they'd get one of the rooms, and each room had an attached bath so that they could have their privacy. And there was some point at which we were all getting ready for dinner, and I got dressed. And back then, we used to dress in little white shirts and little ties and little slacks and a little jacket, even though I was 6. And the ladies would all get dressed up. And so at some point, my uncle Ernesto asked me to go check on Aunt Pauline. He called her Polly. He said, Michael, they didn't call me Toby. Because that was my father's name. Toby is my first name, but my middle name is Michael. So they'd say, Michael, go check on Aunt Polly. So I went and knocked on the bedroom door, as a young gentleman would, and there was no answer. So I opened the door and peeked in, and Aunt Polly was coming out of the bathroom, and she was in her, for lack of a better way to describe it, undies. And the undies were all black, including the stockings and the shoes. And she just walked out and she said, "Hi, Michael, come on in. I'm almost ready." So I went over, and there was a chest by the end of the bed. And I sat there with my little feet off the floor, and I watched her walk around and get dressed. And that's the story. So you can take whatever you want, but it had nothing to do with shoes. It had nothing to do with feet. It had nothing to do with anything. So there we are. And if that had happened to you, you'd have the same thing I have. I was only 6. That was what? 65 years ago, guys, for God's sakes. Stupid. All right, I'm going to have you better behave. You promised me you're going to behave, or you're going to get tossed out of here, Stoop. So thank you. So Captain Marvel's got it all figured out. It's not just I don't want to talk. Okay, so end of conversation, all right? You now know the story. End of conversation. How much for a 2-hour trout fishing session with Toby? John, if you want to go trout fishing, let me know. And if it's trout fishing season, there is no charge for that because I love going trout fishing. As a matter of fact, see, Doug, right away, don't even get started. Godelcon, the you were ruined for life. I don't know if it was it didn't ruin me. I happen to love women. I think women are the best thing on earth, and I love them. And you know what, Jan? That's it right there. You got it, brother. And I'll bet you I'm not the only male in the room that has the same. Wait a minute. Jan, thank you for that nice contribution to the project. Okay, bro, taking off. Wow, Fargo, North Carolina. What's your name and what you calling about? You reached the Gypsy Kiss. Fargo is one of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah, this is Will from Fargo, and
hey, Will.
It's a pretty great area to live. Contrary to what the show
no, I
makes
agree
it
with you.
seem
I think it looks like a great area to live in.
Yeah. But what I was calling about, I'm currently in Wyoming right now, and I ended up taking a trip through Lander, and I went down into Sinks Canyon. I just took a quick drive, but it was blocked off at the end with snow and whatnot. I couldn't really do any exploring.
Yeah,
but,
you didn't want to get much higher than that, and at the end of the canyon in Sinks State Park, because it gets ugly from that point forward. So you were it was fortunate that it was blocked.
Okay. I was just calling. What's your current opinion on that area?
You know, we had a theory, and it was based upon the idea that he may have hid the treasure in 2003. We pulled out the stories from various locations to substantiate it. But we got there, and although don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful area. We were there just after spring runoff, so the water was just too rough to do anything fishing, and it's crowded. It's just crowded. Any place you go, there are going to be people there. There were a couple of places that we went on the other side of the river that were hiking trails that led to lesser trails that eventually led to you being in the forest. And we thought we were all alone off a trail, and a bunch of rock climbers, 20 rock climbers came down with their equipment right to the other side of us. So there is no privacy, in that area. It's a pretty public area. It would be hard to hide it, especially when you had to do it twice. And the other thing, too, is the canyon itself on one side, that would be the north side, is very angular. It's not quite cliff, but it would be hard to hide anything in just because it's pretty rocky. The other side is a little bit smoother and more likely, but that's the side that's the most populated. So we liked it we were there for 5 days. And we liked it as a good area to visit, but we wouldn't go back to look for the treasure there. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Okay. Did you make it back down to the Paposia Falls, like in that area?
Yeah, we did that. We made that trip. That's a hike. And it's not a hard hike. It was only strenuous because it's long, and you have to be patient. I mean, families with kids families wearing flip-flops were going the other direction as we were going up. The problem again was that it just wasn't very pretty because it was spring runoff, and the water was just flowing so fast that it didn't look good. It looked more like Niagara Falls. I mean, and certainly Niagara Falls is not ugly, but it looked nothing like the pictures, and nobody was going in the water. There's an area in the water where the falls, when they're running normally, you can actually swim in, but you couldn't. You would the weight of the water would have taken you under, and that affects all the way down the river because then it does the overflow, and that prevents you from seeing some areas. So there was a lot of it wasn't we should have picked later in the spring. And what was really funny is every time we went into some place, I went in to buy some flies, some dry flies in one of the stores there because it's a big fishing area. And the guy actually said, they're going to be useless. The water is running high. We're experiencing a record spring runoff. He said, you're not going to be able to fish. And it was good advice. There was literally no fishing at that time. It was just the water was too high. But we did go, there was the area that I was talking about where you go up the east. Let me see. That would be, let me just think about this for again. So that would be south. The south side, you can take that road that leads up the side of the mountains and then into the back area. We did take that road and we went. I don't remember the lakes up there. There's 2 or 3 lakes up there that have camping areas. They're very developed. And so we thought we'd go take a look just to see if there was any possibilities there. We crossed the middle Paposia. No, we crossed the little Paposia. And it's a tough drive. It is a 4-wheel drive, and it's one of those that, you're looking down the cliff the whole time you're driving. But we stopped at one of the lakes. We parked, and we got out because I wanted to at least try catching some fish in the lake. And there was a point, it had kind of a neat name, the Fire something, emptied into this lake, and I caught a couple of trout right there. I released them, but the mosquitoes were so bad that the magical treasure princess bailed and went back to the car.
Yeah, I mean, it is a beautiful area, and I think I'm going to make it back there, regardless, during the summertime.
I think it would be worth a trip, and I think if you were to call and rent one of those yurts that they have there. Did you see the yurts? Did you get a chance to go in?
No, I did not.
They are cool. They have a little stove. They have beds. They're hard shells on the outside, and they rent them. You can call in and rent them for several, as many nights as you want to pay. I think there's some sort of maximum, but I promised myself, and they're right by the river, and I promised myself one time that the next time I go back up, I'd rent one of the yurts.
Nice. So, did you were you able to match up any parts of the poem with there? I was thinking, potentially where waters or where warm waters halt, maybe potentially the sinks area.
Well, it wasn't the sinks. The one that we used was the rise.
Okay.
Was it what? I'm trying to remember, because the water that goes into the sinks comes out 4 degrees warmer when it comes out the rise, and it takes 4 hours. The University of Wyoming actually did. You can find this research online at how long it takes and how much temperature it goes up. So even though the straight line distance, the as the crow fly distance is a 1/4 mile, wherever it goes, it takes 4 hours to come back out. They put dye in it. And the temperature is 4 degrees warmer in the rise than it is when it goes in the sinks.
And then were you using 10 miles down from there?
No, we went. So there was it was up further up than that, and there's a suspension bridge that led you no place for the meek, and then there was a left turn off the suspension bridge, no place. You had to do a little bit of a climb. It was up a trail, but then you get off the trail into a big, wide open space. We made several videos while we were up, or did we make several videos, or did we shoot a lot of images? I think we made a video from up there. And the video that we made was literally in the area that we imagined the treasure to be. That's the point at which we were kicking over logs and, old, not dead wood. So.
Okay. So what area are you kind of leaning towards now? Do you have a, specific area that, sticks out more than others at the moment after everything?
What sticks out for me, of course, hang on, let me spit this ice out because I'm not going to be able to talk. The area that I've spent the most time in the past couple of summers is the Rio de los Pinos above Toltec Gorge, because I can make the clues work there. But for as much time as I've spent there, I stopped searching. Back in October of 2018, I said I was stopping searching because I wasn't confident of my clues, and until I'm really confident of them, I'm not going to go back because I think it's a waste of time, money, and effort. I did have a potential new theory based in Montana. We made a trip up north our last vacation, Shelley, Kevin, and I. And I had a theory based on a map that I saw in one of the fishing stores there. And we actually spent some extra time in north and west of West Yellowstone along the Madison to kind of prove it out. I had a great conversation with a ranger up there. Montana, they're not forest, they're not game and fish, but it's their wildlife rangers. We had a long conversation, and he substantiated what I was believing. And we got back, and by the time I got back, I was convinced that there was a small probability that I should be looking up there, right? And I told everybody that. Then about a month later, there was an article called Fool's Gold about the Fenn Treasure. And the gentleman that wrote it had actually spent some time with Forrest. And at some point, he admitted that Forrest had told him, if you really want to see something interesting, go up to that area on the Madison, north and west of West Yellowstone, and you'll find the place where I think he kissed Peggy or he proposed to her. The simple fact of the matter is it was exactly the place that I was looking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Not looking. It was the place that I would imagine investing some time. And this article was written in May of 2019. We didn't do our trip till September of 2019. So he couldn't be just trolling Toby, right? This was something he did. And I came to, you have to come to the conclusion, he's not going to send a journalist to the place where he hid the treasure. He might send a journalist to the place where he and Peggy kissed. So I scratched that off my list as a result.
Okay. All right, well, interesting stuff. Well, I appreciate you giving me your time here tonight.
My pleasure. I'm glad I could. I hope I was helpful at least.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll probably talk to you at some point later.
We look forward to it. Thanks for calling in.
Yep. Have a good night.
Bye now. Fun. I like answering calls like that. Let's see. So I just got a text message from John. He didn't say where he's from. So he says, what is my opinion of scrapbook number 248? Scrapbook 248, I believe Forrest Fenn wrote specifically for the benefit of one person. And that's the person that was in the news last week for some decisions that he made, and warned the rest of us that that we shouldn't be putting ourselves at risk by doing the same thing. That's what I think is Scrapbook 248. Here's another one from JHS Pedals. I like their music. Toby at 10 after this. Actually, Dan, what I decided to do tonight is I'm going to stay until we close. So right now, let's see, how shall I do this fairly? When we get below, let's say, 150 viewers. Once it falls below 150, then we'll call it a night. But I'm going to stay till closing. So do you want to see my ukulele? Look at that little baby. Huh? It's got that fender-like head right there. Isn't that pretty? It's the It's I guess Enya has her own. I didn't even know Enya played the ukulele, but apparently she has her own brand. So yeah, I've already learned Happy Birthday. I'll also learn some others. Maybe I'll play for you guys at Fenbury. How's that? So I'm going to start another song, and I am going to go, once I start the song, I'm going to refresh my drink, and then I'll come back. What did I do now? All right, this is Clock Set by Silent Partner. So I'm going to start this song, and then I'm going to go make myself a drink, and I'll be right back, okay? You will see me disappear, literally. Okay. Whew. How's that for timing? So, got a text message. Hey, Toby, how's your son? You mentioned your ukulele looked like a Fender one night. You had Jason on, and he had a Fender shirt, partially exposed, but not all. And I asked if it was a Fender shirt. He said yes, and as a gift for guessing, he sent me an awesome 10 cross. Wow! Tell him Ed says hi, God bless. I will, Ed. How cool is that? He's a big fan. He must own, I know he owns at least two of them, two Fenders, maybe more, because he has a dozen guitars, acoustic and electric, classical and steel. So I will mention that to him. You know what? I'm just going to forward this text to him so he knows. So yeah, I thought it was interesting that whatever model this was, it does have a Fender style head on it. You guys can't see it, but you can see it says Enya right there. So she has an entire product line of ukulele stuff. So I thought that was kind of cool. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've been playing with it. The other nice thing about it is I couldn't play music at my apartment because if you play music and sing in an apartment, everybody, your neighbors above and below, above and to the sides can hear you. Here in my house, I can make as much bad noise as I want. So let me see. What else we got? Let's play some Sky. So let me see if I can find it. I've got a picture of my electric bike. Let me see if I can get it to where you guys can see it. Hey, Davio, how are you doing?
Hey, pretty good.
Good to
I'm
hear
liking
it.
your music. I like your headstock on that guitar, and that brings me up a couple of things about what's going on with the poem I thought you might find interesting.
Okay, good. I want to see how you tie a Fender-like headstock on a ukulele to Searching for the Treasure. Go.
That's right. Here we go. Okay. No Place for the Meek. Isn't that the same as Home of the Brave?
I guess you could say that. Yeah.
I mean, No Place for the Meek must be a home for the brave. Well, if you've, that and, if you've been brave, we'll see. I'm not having the poem in front of me, looking up in my book, but No Place, Home of the Brave was sung by Jimi Hendrix. That's Woodstock. You've got to love that, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
What does he play? A Fender.
Yeah. Yeah.
Upside down, Fender, classic, right? He made Fender the company that it is probably because of that. And secondly, if you look at chapter 21, you will notice that Father Fenn is sitting on the fender of a car. On the whatever you get, the model, whatever. And that is, the same chapter, which is Father on the Bonko. So to me, I see that as a different version of a bench. A bench could be a fender. So I see this as a reference, a really veiled, subtle, abstract, but nonetheless, this is kind of how I've seen this whole thing. Because remember when our girl Sassy was telling how complex the David Blaine thing is? Well, I got a feeling Forrest is just a little more complex than old David there.
I think he would want it to be. I think, it's part of his nature to be a leader,
Right.
So
look at the. If you look.
So
at
wait a minute. So what I did.
Yes.
Let me ask a question. So what I did here was I held up my new ukulele, mentioned that I thought it had a Fender-like head, and you turned that into a thing
Jimi
for
Hendrix reference. Yes. Amazing, right? Yeah.
Amazing. So I got another one of you. So I brought back a cocktail. And it's from a bottle of Buffalo Trace bourbon whiskey, Kentucky bourbon whiskey that my friend Sean Scott gave me for my birthday.
Outstanding.
So when you come back with the next one, I want a theory based on Buffalo Trace.
Holy cow. Well, Buffalo, first of all, Buffalo right there. That's the Buffalo nickel. And on the other side of that coin is the Indian head coin. Well, why is that Indian relevant to the book? Well, his name is Irontail, one of the many profiles, but the main one that comes up in the book is Irontail. Now he slides down the the metal whatever fire escape, and that is how he gets his butt to be iron tail right there. So right there are little veiled little hints on how I see things are connected to, nickels, and I feel that that's how we're going to find that the treasure's been found. By the way, is the Liberty 1913 nickel becomes exposed. Both of them hit the market, and that will definitely make headlines. You know what I mean? That would be a way that after Fenn is gone, that the world would know that the treasure was found. Because we do not know the entire contents of said box.
Agreed. So there might be some other things in there, huh?
Well, I'm thinking those nickels would be a good way for the world to know.
Absolutely. Perhaps even a bottle. Well, no, I guess it wouldn't fit. I was going to say a bottle of Buffalo Trace, but no bottle of Buffalo Trace.
No. But I think nickels. Since you're going to bring up buffaloes, I'm going to go right to nickels because, hey, it's right there in the book. And why does he have two wheels? Well, because I think there's two locations tied together by this buffalo nickel. I think there's those kind of veiled hints are all over it. Like cool.
Okay,
like
so I've got
cool
another
water
one.
halts.
So I'm going to show you my other birthday
Give me
present.
another one.
This one
Show me.
This is my birthday present to me. Okay.
Dig it.
So you're going to have to wait until it makes a switch and tie this in. So this is my new electric bike. You tell me how this all fits into this stuff.
Electric bike. I got to fit a bike into this.
Yeah. You're good at this.
6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
Of everything.
Aren't you the guy that got Goodwill Hunting? Was it? No. It was. It was Goodwill Hunting.
Dead Poets. No,
Dead Poets Society. Right.
Yeah.
So
look at the front of the book.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a foldy bike.
Yeah, it's a foldy bike.
Nice.
Foldy electric, and it's got the 20-inch fat tires, so you can take it out into the boonies. So I just rode it around the neighborhood today to get a hand on it. But isn't that fun?
Well, now that it folds, let us talk about the fold of the book. Okay. On the other side of the fold of the poem, on the opposite side, you've got the nose on the frog, which I believe is a triangle, and you got the frog itself. If you draw a line from the heels of the frog to the nose and see what words that land on in the poem, I think there's relevance to that. So yes, foldy bike, fold in the book. Toby, it never ends. I can go on and on.
I would like to. You know what I'd like to do?
Off.
I would like to turn miniature and just walk around your brain for a while just to see what's going on in there, Dahlia.
Extraordinarily colorful in there, I must say. Valentine's Day is probably the number one icon I've got going on in my head right now.
So you got hearts, you got some paintings for sale this year?
I've been so taken with this whole funeral thing that I haven't spent the time I normally would to be ready for Valentine's Day. So I'll probably only have 2 paintings ready to go, and I'm going to have to price them higher than I'd like. But
send the pictures to me so I can promote them before New Year's Day. I'm sorry.
So tomorrow, Toby, by the way,
Valentine's
I'm headed out.
To your search area?
Yeah, because here comes the weather, I think, about Monday. So this will be the last chance. It's only snowed twice this entire year up here in the Rockies. I'm in Denver.
Yeah, we've had a very mild winter. We're going to pay for it this summer
mild.
Because we're not going to have any water. We need that for. So what is the rest of the week?
Well, that's coming in February. I feel that you will get your water.
Do you think so?
The wet snow is on the way. Oh yeah, because it did last year and it has the year before. It comes later. So I'm feeling that this is my window of opportunity to go out into some wet, muddy, dirt road area.
We are going to be
and walk in.
We're going to be in the 60s tomorrow.
Yeah,
no, it's going to hit 60. Sorry. Yeah.
Right. I'm in the 40s.
Oh, okay.
And then 20s at night.
Yeah.
But sunny. And then the snow comes. So we've had days of melt up here in the Rockies. So I'm feeling like it's a good time to go and have a look around. And I got one spot I want to look at, and then I have to take compass readings and get some more photographs. So it'll be a reconnaissance. It'll be good to get away and take a drive and all that stuff too. So So I'm having a looking around. Have a look around, man. Have a look.
We look forward to seeing the results. And like I said, make sure you send me some pictures of your latest paintings so that we can promote it and.
Yeah, man, let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's promote. I agree. So I need to get away, and then I'll come back, I'll paint, and we'll get this thing to you, and let's promote.
Yeah.
Hoorah.
Sounds good. All right, sir. Thanks for calling in.
Be well. Much love.
You have a good evening.
Well.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Okay, we got some text messages that came in. Well, isn't that the neatest little folding electric bike? For those of you that are interested, if you guys are interested in an electric bike, let me know. Actually, I'll tell you what it is anyway. So the price was $929 with free shipping. And I looked at the reviews, all the reviews on YouTube for all the electric bikes, and this one had outstanding reviews. And let me go back to the picture. And it's made by a company called Electric. I guess they didn't do the original. And it was shipped from someplace in California. So the shipping wasn't long, but it's free shipping. And they're selling it for $929. Literally no assembly required. You take it out of the box. It's folded because it's a folding bike. It's transportable. The bike itself, everything, battery, bike, motor, everything. The motor is actually in the rear wheel. Weighs like 60 pounds. It has a 7-speed, and they've built the technology into it, so it can be always electric, but it's really designed what they call pedal assist. So it's got these levels where if you think you need pedal assist just to move the bike along, it just helps you with that. So, and it has a top speed of 28 miles an hour, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. And it has a 25 to 30 mile range depending on weight and how you use it and things like that. But you can't beat the price. $929, ready to go. No assembly. It came in the box. You open the box, you take off all the packing, you fold it, and you charge the battery, and it's ready to start riding. So if you're going to get one, go to Electric, and this is their SP, and order it online, free shipping. I don't know what you can ask. I don't know if you could ask for more than that at that price. Okay, so, another one from, let's see. I knew it was a Fender shirt Jason had on because I teach guitar in Boise, and I remember you, Ed. Yeah, you were one of our subscribers at one point. I hadn't seen you in a while. I do remember that conversation you had with Jason. Well, I'm happy to see that Jason was raised right and send you a gift as a result. So, and I will let him know that you sent your thanks, and I'll send the picture to him. No place for the Meek old fly reel, dry creek bed, Glenn from Oregon. I think that fly reel, the company, the Meek reel company, has been explored in a number of ways, but I've never heard anybody make anything out of it. It was one of those that it's like Joe Meek. You try to make something out of it, and it's kind of a rabbit hole, you know. So I think people have tried. On some treasure maps, they have symbols that look like the letter Omega. That is true. And I'm not going to deny that. I think you're absolutely right about that. Let's go back to the audio library and see what we've got here. Okay, we're at 160. 10 more, and then we'll call it a night. How's that? So, Violet, did I see something, a comment, and I missed it? Let me see. I thought Violet was asking a question. Maybe it was a... Oh, okay. Butt drums, I know. Butt drums are just the best. Jan. Thank you. So, Amanda, I'm going to find that out tomorrow because the Bosca Trail in Albuquerque, the signs all say no motorized vehicles. But I've heard from other folks that they make an exception for the electric bikes. But I'm going to find out tomorrow because I'm going to take it on the trail tomorrow. Hey, we've got a call from Pine Top. You know who lives in Pine Top is the summer home. Shelley's mother lives in that area. They spend their summers. Hey, you've reached Toby. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Pine Top, obviously. What's your question?
My name is Cosme.
Cosme, how are you doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Good to hear it.
I've been watching your show for a while, and decided to call. I have a couple of comments and a couple of questions.
Okay, go ahead. Start with your comments.
Okay, so one of the comments, he talks about aluminum grave markers.
Yeah.
And during the Civil War, over there by Glorieta, there was the French soldiers were called Zouaves.
Yeah.
And so in some of that fighting during the Civil War, they had some of the guys that were killed. They redid aluminum grave markers. And so I don't know. He talks about aluminum grave markers. So that was just a comment.
Oh, okay.
A while back, Mitchell, I guess he was a kid. He called in about drones and if Forrest could use one of those for surveillance. But in some of the things I've done, as far as treasure go, for Spanish treasure and stuff,
yeah,
you can actually rent satellite time, and you could read like license plates. So Forrest could use something like that for to look at his treasure to know if somebody had found it or not.
Yeah, I think it is possible. I don't think he cares.
Yeah,
I think he's counting. I think he's counting on. So you have to look at it from his perspective, right?
Right.
He would have the problem if he was alive when the treasure was found. Okay. He would have the issue of being informed, and he made some. Give me back my bracelet, etc., etc. But there's a point at which, not that I hope this happens anytime soon, he's not going to be alive. He's going to pass. And he wants that treasure hunt to last as long as possible. Hundreds, you just heard that quote, 900 years. So he had to put this all together knowing that there was a high probability that the treasure would be found after he had passed away. And no matter what he put in place at that point, whether it's, satellite imaging time or solar-powered trail cameras or whatever, the simple fact of the matter is it wouldn't make any difference after he was dead anyway. So when you're sitting down thinking about what you're going to do with this treasure, it may come to you that, I wish there was a way I could figure out if the treasure was there. I mean, he's admitted more than once that he hasn't been back since he hid the treasure. You'd think a guy with any curiosity at all would say to himself, let me go see if it's still there. He doesn't care.
Yeah,
he doesn't care.
How could you not do that?
He doesn't care because he doesn't care. He doesn't care if it's there or not. If somebody finds it and they announce it, okay. If somebody finds it and they don't announce it, okay. He's going to be dead one day, and it's not going to make any difference to him anyway. And if you're doing this kind of planning, he had to consider that. He had to consider that the treasure would not be found in his lifetime, and then who cares whether he knows it's there or not, right?
Right. Okay. That makes sense. So one of the other comments I have is there's a young lady called in about he always wears purple sweaters.
Yeah, that's
certain things.
Christy Fiorello. She did a YouTube video about it.
Okay, so here's my I guess you could say insight on that.
Okay.
After wearing a uniform like for 28 years.
Yeah.
That's his uniform. When he's in purple, he's the king. So
yeah,
he's talking. That's his uniform for that. As you all know, you wear a uniform. On Gypsy's Kiss, every time you wear the shirt with the rod holder on the
that is kind of my uniform. Yeah,
so it's a uniform.
Right.
So that was just the comment.
And it's that the fact is that for people like him, they're more comfortable in uniform. It's comfortable for them.
Uniform. You grow to it. So.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, okay, so my question
Well, wait, but let me make a recommendation. Make sure that you go over to Christy's YouTube channel, Christy Fiorello, and watch that video that she made about it. She had some insights that might benefit you.
Okay, I'll give it a try.
Yeah, give it. It's worth it. I wouldn't tell you to do that if I thought it was going to be a waste of your time.
Okay. All right. So my question for you is, it's the first time I heard you mentioned that there's hair in the bottle.
Yeah, in the olive jar, he put a lock of his hair in it.
Really? How did you find that out? I don't know. That's first I heard of that.
I don't know. Is it in the book, in The Thrill of the Chase? I know he mentioned it at Moby Dickens.
Oh.
Have you seen Have you seen my Moby Dickens video?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it, but
a little bit. That could be the most important video of Forrest Fenn on the face of the planet. You watch all 48 minutes and 15 seconds.
Okay, I'll give that a shot.
See, because you didn't know about the hair in the jar. So see, that should tell you I better go watch that video right after I finish this call.
Okay. The only other comment I have is from being over there in southern New Mexico.
Yeah.
There's everybody goes to the Spanish and they go to the dictionary and stuff.
Yeah.
You're just not speaking Spanish over there. You got to speak New Mexican. Man.
Yeah. It's there is a vernacular that is not Mexican, that is not Spanish. It's New Mexican, and I know because I thought I was speaking Spanish, and I got to college, and my first year I took Russian, and then my second year I took Spanish, and I spent my second year being corrected by my Spanish teacher because it's not casao, it's casado. So yeah, there is a vernacular associated with southern New Mexico.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, if everybody in New Mexico, or if you call in and everybody can say "Alamodi man,"
Alamodi man, Alamodi man.
Okay. All right. Thanks for your time. I like your show.
Thanks very much. Thanks for calling in.
Okay. Bye.
So yeah, that comes from the New Mexico vernacular because we speak in Santa Fe. We used to refer to it as Spanglish, and so you'd start a sentence in English. ¿Qué no vas a mi casa? No. ¿Qué no vas to my house? You'd start in Spanish or you'd start in English and finish in Spanish. But there were sayings that we used as children, and he just used one. A la modi ese. Why are you doing that? A la modi ese. Everybody was ese. He wants it to be like the red. He wants it to be like the red Rosetta Stone. He loves telling that story. Don't you think that guy that carved the Rosetta Stone is thinking to himself, that lasted 2,000 years, and then it was used as the basis for deciphering the Egyptian hieroglyphics. I mean, how cool is how great must that guy feel? And I think that's his point. So, Violet Fenn does not watch our show. Let's see. Journeyman says Moby Dickens video like shampoo, watching and then repeat. Yeah, the more you watch the Moby Dickens video, the more you will learn about Forrest Fenn. So I strongly recommend. That might have been one of the finest pieces of work that I did related to Forrest Fenn Treasure than anything else I've done. Let's see. Do you think Forrest may have walked downhill with 22 pounds and back up empty? Swami, he did go canyon down. So it is, if it was me, that's the choice that I would make. I'd carry the weight downhill and not have the weight coming back up. So, and that's how I've always envisioned it, actually. I don't think he walked uphill with a weight and then back downhill without the weight. I agree with your assessment. I think that's a good way to look at it. So, who's next? Phone lines are open. We got 162 viewers. If we go below 152, we'll call it a night, okay? So, that you know of, Toby, you know what? Forrest went to bed an hour and a half ago, guys. He is not going to stay up till, this is a man who just told everybody that he doesn't want to get any more emails. Leave me alone. He's going to be a crotchety old man like me. Leave me alone. Just from Melbourne, Florida. That's on the Gulf side, isn't it? I don't know. Let me see. Hey, you reached Gypsy's Kiss. What's your name? What's your question? And which side of the coast is Melbourne on?
The East Coast, yes.
Oh, it is on the east? Yeah.
But it's our beaches were heavy eroded so much they dredged.
Yeah, they have to. Yeah, they've eroded. They really have to dredge for them, and they've been importing sand for them, and people don't understand sand is a non-renewable resource.
Yeah.
So what's your question or what's your comment?
Hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
I was Googling Google Earth, and I zoomed in on a lake. Where you go? It's Elvado.
Yeah, Elvado Lake. It's here's a cool one for you. Do you remember Fenn's Spanish teacher?
Not really, but
Her name is Mrs. Ford. She taught him Spanish. Yeah. You know what Elvado is Spanish for?
Elvado. Shit, my Spanish is pretty bad.
Elvado is Spanish for the Ford.
The Ford.
Yeah.
Huh.
His Spanish teacher was Ford, and Elvado is Spanish for Ford, the Ford. Huh? Actually, the reason I say that is because that was part of my the first theory that I ever had about this treasure hunt back in 2013 included that as a hint.
The lake or the...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because my warm waters halt on the Chama River just below the Elvado Dam.
Oh, the dam, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
And then he screwed it up by saying it wasn't associated with a dam. Damn him.
Well, I was thinking there's an island in the middle of that lake there.
Yeah. There is. The problem is it's not there during the spring runoff. It's one of those islands that's there sometimes and not there other times.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It depends. It depends on the spring runoff.
Yeah, because I haven't, I Googled Earth.
Yeah.
Has anybody ever been out there? You've been out there?
I haven't because it would require a boat.
Right, I got a boat.
Yeah.
But I'm in Florida.
As a matter of fact, the gentleman that was made the news because he was digging a big deep hole up there to look for the treasure because he thought it was up in that area. He was up in that area at the lake above it, Heron. He was on Heron Lake, but he thought it was up in that area too.
Well, is that BLM land or what is that?
No, both those lakes are on state land.
State land? What does that mean?
It's administered by the State Game and Fish Department.
It's like park or forest or what?
Well, it's the area around the lake is park. I mean, it's improved. So there are areas on the lake that are improved and managed by the New Mexico. They manage it in a partnership between the New Mexico State Parks Department, the New Mexico State Parks Department, and the New Mexico Game and Fish Department. So they co-manage the area because the area around the lake is parkland, New Mexico State parkland, but the water is administered by the State Game and Fish Department. Oh, did it? Hey, Melbourne, where did I lose you? I just realized I had lost you.
Yeah, there are areas there.
Okay, so there are two lakes in a row on the Chama River. One is Heron Lake, and then just a little bit further down is Elvado Lake. The area around the lakes, the land around the lakes, is state land, State Park Service. Well, it's state land administered by the State Park Service. The waters are administered by the Game and Fish Department, but it's all state of New Mexico. Now, I have searched below. I've searched the Chama River below the dam, and because you may not know this now, but there's a ranch down there. I think it's the Rogers Ranch, and it's open to the public. There's campsites. There are cabins, but there is a ranch store up there that sells, sodas, potato chips, other things. And it is home, if you look up that store, it is home to the New Mexico State record brown trout. And it calls itself that, home of the New Mexico State record brown trout. And just below that store is the put-in where all the rafters and kayakers enter the Chama River and take their 2-day trip down the Chama. So there's the put-in below the home of Brown. If you're standing at that put-in and you look upriver, there is a suspension bridge, a very dynamic suspension bridge that crosses the river, gets you to the other side, no place for the meek. You head downriver at that point, and you're on BLM land. And you've got about, I think it's 3 clicks worth of BLM land, and then it turns into Native American land, but nobody goes back there. There's no trails back there. Not even the fishermen go back there because that side of the river has rock cliffs on it, not very high, but it's rocky, so there's not any good places to fish off there. And then if you head just a little bit further down, there's a dry creek bed. No, paddle up your creek, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that was my first theory, that area up there. And then he spoiled it all by saying the warm waters are not associated with the dam because warm waters halted by my New Mexico fishing regulations thing at the dam.
Well, I was thinking because if you zoom in on that island, you can see there's, I call them hieroglyphics, but I thought it was first letters, or maybe it was a prison camp and somebody carved big letters around the island. But
no.
Real close,
during the late summer months, after the spring runoff and it clears off, boaters go out there and hang out.
And they carved all that?
I don't know. I've never actually looked at it in detail. I don't know if it's carved out there. I don't know what's carved out there. It could just be natural.
Well, no, there's about 5 different symbols in the arc around the island, and then there's some writing.
Oh, hang on just a sec. Let me take a look at it real quick for you.
Yeah, go for it.
Choo-choo, Elvado Lake.
And just north of that lake, there's 3 structures, or there's a few structures, old, I want to say megalith, but they're not that big. They're kind of buried. But you can see the outline of the stone, something.
Oh, so I know what you're talking about. That's not an island. That's a peninsula. It's actually connected to the land. Is that what you're talking about?
No, this is an island. It's in the middle of. Maybe I got the lake wrong. There's 2 lakes up there.
Yeah, there's 2 lakes. Heron Lake. There are islands in Heron Lake.
Okay.
But as you can see, if you look very closely, you can see the various high water marks. And I'm telling you, during the spring runoff, if the dam is closed because they can't let it, those 2 islands are covered with water.
Yeah, this place looks like it's never been.
The one that looks like the one that looks like a stingray shape, kind of.
What's the lake south of there? And if that's called.
So that's Heron Lake. The lake south of that is Elvado, and it's also protected by a dam. And then if you head south on the Chama, much further south, you eventually get to Abiquiu Lake, and that's a completely different lake and way out of the search area.
Abiquiu?
Abiquiu, A-B-I-Q-U-E-Q. Let's see, A-B-I, Abby, Q-U-E-U. Q-U-E-U.
Does that have a big island in the middle?
I don't remember. Hang on, let me go. Says it's not a healthy place to look. It's way out of the search area. Let me see.
Still in the Rocky
Abiquiu Lakes. No, it's not. It is not it's in the high desert. It is not in the Rocky Mountains. It's not even forested. It's in what they call the high desert. There it is. But it's so, anyway, I hope that helps.
No, because so they're writing. I'm wondering who carved it.
I don't know. I don't see any of that in there. All I see is the watermarks. You have to, if you look at it, all I can see is as the spring, as they back it up at spring runoff, the water eventually covers those islands, and you can actually see it. So.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with it?
With what?
It's like a tablet. I mean, you talked about the Rosetta Stone. This is something ancient carved into the island.
I'm sorry. I'm just not seeing it. I don't see any carvings on it.
Yeah, search it.
Well, no. I'm looking at it now. I'm looking at it right now on the map.
Yeah, but you must have been, and I told you wrong lake. I'm sorry.
No worries. Well, do me a favor. If you can figure out which one it is, give me, let me know, and we'll take a look at it.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks for calling in. Have a good evening.
One question was, did
Sure.
you ever find out about that roadway was? You said it led up to the mountain. I asked you that on those stones. You called it a highway of stones or something up by Rio de los Pinos.
Oh, it's actually a forest road. Is that what you were talking about?
No, the stones. It looks like they're all stones, all the same size, going up the mountain by where you.
Oh yeah. No, on the Rio de los Pinos on the New Mexico side, there's a here. Let me. I'll show you what it looks like. I call it. I made that name up. I call it the River of Rocks. Is that what you were talking about? Yeah. I just made that. I made that name up. Let me go to Osher and I'll show you why I call it that. Hang on. Are you watching the screen right now?
I can't. I just have to. I'd have to lose you probably.
Okay. So, let me see if I can find it. It's right there. So I'm gonna just so you can, even if you're not looking at it now, I'll just pop on the screen and you can take a look at it later. So there's the Colorado-New Mexico border right there. That's the Rio de los Pinos. There's the Cumbres and Toltec Railroad right there, and we head down to an area just before the river enters the Toltec Gorge, which is right about here. This looks like it's gorge, but it's not. But you can see right here, there's a rock fall. And these rocks are all of consistent size. Now you have to remember all the blasting. There are rock falls on this side of the river because of the blasting associated with the building of the Cumbres and Toltec Railroad. But there is no reason for this side. There is just these rocks. And we've shown pictures of them before, because I have photographs, and it's because it's on the way down to our search area. And I've always just referred to it as the River of Rocks. And they're all about the same size. They get to about here. And there's some animal life. We see a lot of marmots and other animal life running around in there. But it's just the strangest, it's just one of those weird, I suppose if I had more time in my geology class, I could explain it. But I have no explanation for it. It's weird that they're all the same size. And if you look on this side, there's a similar rockfall, but it's very much related to the Cumbres and Toltec Railroad.
I think it's a road made by humans, because if you look at the old Peruvian roads, they kind of have. That's how they started, and there's probably a bunch of wood on top of it, but the wood's all gone. So it's leveled.
It could very well be. I mean, the as you look at it, when you're face to face with it, it doesn't have quite the evenness, the lines that you see on here where it does look like a road coming down. But that area right here, that's probably, I'm going to say 200 feet across right here. So it's not it's not a narrow road. I mean, it's 200 feet. This area down here is 30 to 40 feet across. I mean, we have to avoid it. If you tried to cross it, it becomes cumbersome. These boulders, most of them are around knee height. Some of them are about thigh height. So in order to get down to our area, we go down by the river and we come through here. You can actually see the trails that the cows have made. You'll see a lot of trails in the area, but they're all cow trails because they've leased the land to the cattlemen, and that's where all the cows feed. It's a lot prettier than it looks on here.
No seismic disturbance.
New Mexico, for all intents and purposes, is a seismic state. I mean, New Mexico has some really interesting geology, including volcanic activity and earthquake activity. So it could very well be related to that. But if you look at them, they're not basaltic rock. They're granitic rock. They're not volcanic-based rock. So It's just, I'm sure if I were to go to the geology, the Department of Geology at UNM and show them the picture and say, what the heck is all this about? They'd have a good explanation for it. But, we see a lot of basaltic rock on the Rio Grande around Pilar and further south because there is a lot of that activity in the rift. This is not basaltic rock. It's granitic.
Well, that would make it older then.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. It would make it older. Are you a geology major?
I study a lot.
Oh, okay. All right.
Solar technique.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
All right, sir.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for calling in. Any more questions before we go?
Sure, always tons of questions, but I'm thinking they had an ancient civilization before the Anasazi or the Anuzi or whatever they call them.
Anasazi.
Indians, maybe 10,000 years.
Yeah, there is no reason why there couldn't have been an older civilization that populated this area and had something to do with it, because it makes sense. The problem was that all the trading, whether it was the Anasazi or something that preceded them, all the trading was occurring on the Rio Grande. You would be way out of your, you would be out of the social circle up here in the Rio de los Pinos.
Yeah, but this is 100,000 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, no. Again, you even if it was 100,000 years ago, I understand what you're trying to say. But if you're one of the first humans at 100,000 years ago in this area, you're still going to go. The one things that have made humans the leading species on the planet is they know how to work easy, right? You don't want to be hunting up in the mountains with limited water. You want to go down to the Rio where there's more animal life, more possible for agrarian growth, and more people. So that's a lot easier. Up here, it's a hard life. Now, if they ended up here for some reason and they became isolated from the rest of the population, all the population in New Mexico, when it came to the Native American tribes, was along the Rio Grande. Now there were some. Don't get me wrong. There's a reason that Mesa Verde and now I can't remember the name of it, up in northwestern New Mexico by Farmington. What is up the solar place? Chaco Canyon. Yeah, there's a reason they exist, but they abandoned that. There was a reason they abandoned that, and that was because whatever happened. They lost the ability. They lost water. They lost the ability to grow crops, and so they moved. The problem was nobody knows where they moved. If I was them, I would have headed for the Rio Grande where everybody else was.
That was Anasazi. That was only 5,000 years.
Yeah, the Anasazi were from 5,000 to 1,000 years ago.
Right. I'm talking. Who built these structures that have crumbled to the ground? The last volcano there was 30,000.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Yeah, I couldn't make the argument because I don't know enough about it. I'll just take your word for it.
Yeah, I live on the tops of the mountains because of animals.
Yeah.
Thanks, Toby.
My pleasure. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. You have a good evening. All right, guys, we have fallen under that. We have fallen under that 150 minimum. So let me close up the phone lines here, and we shall call it a night for the night. Okay, good night. Wow, we had some great calls tonight, huh? That was a lot of fun.
I left my boots and my faded jeans in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and swap them for a coat and tie and someplace else to go. I had days that were laced with white lines on narrow blacktop roads, with honky-tonks surrounded day.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, saints and sinners, thanks for joining me tonight on the Saturday Night Church of the Search, where we talk about Forrest Fenn and that dadgum treasure that he hid somewhere in the mountains north of Santa Fe. I thought it was a lot of fun. I hope you guys had as much fun as I did. We'll look forward to seeing you Next week, Wednesday night with Shelley and a Gypsy's Kiss at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, then again on Friday for our Friday show, the Friday Fandango. And we'll have as much fun then. If you get a chance, tune in at 3 o'clock on Wednesday and Friday for the World Sand Project. Learn something about sand and geology and all those cool things. And we have some great giveaways. And then, of course, Shelley has her show, The Softer Side, at 4 o'clock. She's been doing some really interesting interviews on Fridays with people that come from a broad variety of business areas. And Shelley and I are starting a new business soon. We'll make the announcement soon. We're in the preliminary study survey period, but we've decided to launch another business. So that has nothing to do with YouTube. But we hope you at least show an interest in it. Join us on the member vault, and you can get there by going to gypsyskiss.com. And of course, if you ever want a 1 hour conversation about your theory or what I think about your theory, you've got the consulting gig in the description box below. Okay? So again, thanks for joining me tonight. It was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Take care.
To bring back Sunday morning rides and sunsets by the stream. And old grass beds we made love in, and green hearts that we dream. I drank her words like they were wine and looked into her eyes. She turned her head and walked away, made me realize the longest days and the darkest nights were more than I could face. The only thing that I could do was leave that lonesome place. But she played memories, the kind of romance to the dark rhapsodies, the midnight rendezvous. There she played memories of songs that made me blue, sweet soft melodies that took me